Hello everyone. Let's start with the next topic in Terraform, that is the Terraform Workspaces. Now, Terraform Workspaces are used to ensure that you can run parallel deployments or different environments, or multiple environments, each of which will have its own Terraform state file. This means that you can run multiple instances of the same configuration under the same Terraform working directory. Let's go through the theory first, and after that, of course, we'll just see that how you can put that into execution. Terraform Workspaces provide a mechanism to manage multiple yet separate state files with a single Terraform working directory. Now, this allows for the deployment and managing multiple instances of the same infrastructure configuration without interference, thus effectively isolating different environments, for example, development, staging and production, or parallel deployments. So you can say that the workspaces provide a mechanism to ensure that you can run different instances or multiple instances of the configuration within the same Terraform project or the working directory. And you can have different state files. I would say you can have separated distinct state files, and each of those state files will belong to each of the environments that you're managing under the workspace directory. Now, what are the different key aspects of the workspaces, or the benefits, we can say that, or the features? The very first thing that we get from the Terraform workspaces is the state isolation. You have different workspaces. You can see that, or you can assume that each workspace is its own distinct environment. For example, you can have a workspace for environment, I would say for environment like prod, or the environment like dev, or for the environment like staging. Yeah, so we have three different environments. Each environment will have its own workspace, and each workspace will run individually. It will have its own distinct or its own individual identity. And there's no interface between these workspaces. They run parallelly. They run within the same configuration. I would say they share the same configuration file. But each of the workspace runs distinctively separate from each other, and they have their own Terraform state files. Now, the workspaces are commonly used to manage different environments, for example, dev, stage, and prod, where the underlying infrastructure configuration is largely similar, but the resources, attributes like, for example, names, sizes, or other environment-specific details may change. So what this means is that you can have different workspaces running parallelly. The underlying configuration is same. Most of the resources that you deploy, I would say most of the resource attributes have the same values, but there could be slight variations. For example, the instance types, or the AMI, or the tags that you're using for these different workspaces. Every Terraform working directory that you initialize has its own default workspace. Now, these are the Terraform workspace commands. We're going to execute them and see that how they are put into execution. The next thing is that we have to understand that when you want to reference the workspace name in your Terraform configuration file, then you have to use terraform.workspace interpolation sequence. We're going to use that afterwards. Also, when you make use of the workspace as a concept, or I can say that when you're managing different workspaces at once in the same Terraform working directory or the project, then all the workspaces or the state files are managed under a special directory which is called terraform.tfstate.d, right? So Terraform stores workspace state files within a directory named as terraform.tfstate.d within the working directory. So this working directory will consist of different subfolders. Each subfolder, each subdirectory will be, I would say it will belong to a separate workspace, and then that folder will contain the Terraform state file. So everything is within the same single Terraform configuration. One thing we need to emphasize over here is that even though these workspaces run separately, they are running in kind of a parallel kind of deployment. There's no interface between them, but still the underlying configuration is the same. They're sharing the same configuration. There could be slight variations in terms of certain resource attribute values, for example, the test types, the names, the AMI, the tag values, whatever you want to change. So there will be slight variation, but by and large, the resources that you configure, they are almost the same, and they have exactly the same attributes or the values or the configuration across all the workspaces. But yes, there will be slight variations out there. Let's go ahead and put that into practice. I will just go ahead and create a new folder out there. So this folder would be quite simple in terms of naming convention. So I'll just name it as TF Workspaces. So TF Workspaces would be the name of this new project that we're working on. Okay, and let's go ahead and include a configuration file. So over here, I just put this as main.tf. This is my Terraform config file. Let's copy and paste the Terraform and the provider blocks. Okay, they are just copied and pasted from the other project. Let's go ahead and open the integrated terminal. And let's run the Terraform init to initialize this working directory and install the provider plugins. And within the next few seconds, this will be done. As of now, we haven't declared any resource. We haven't declared any workspace out there. Now, as we proceed further, once this is being initialized, we'll just go ahead and declare some resources. And I'd say we'll just declare only one resource. We don't have to declare multiple resources to understand workspaces as a concept. Only one instance or one resource would be, I would say, it would be sufficient for us to understand that how workspaces can be used in Terraform. All right, so it says failed to install the provider, doesn't query the provider, authentication, retrieve checksums, waiting for the connection. It got timed out. Let's run the Terraform init one more time. So we can just do that again. It's trying to install the provider plugins, initializing the backend. I think this is done because you can see that this Terraform folder is just being created. And as you can see that it has been successfully initialized. Let's go ahead and declare a resource out there. This would be my AWS instance resource type. Let's give it a resource name. For example, I can name it as workspace -instance. Let's keep it simple in terms of naming conventions. Of course, we have to declare the AMI and we have to declare the instance type. Let's go with the t2.micro simple instance type so that this is one of the feature eligible instance types. We don't get overcharged for its usage. And let's tag it. Okay, I'll include the tags afterwards. But first thing first, let's go ahead and I just copy the AMI from a different config file and paste it. And that's it. Fine. Now, in terms of the tag name, I will just include a simple name. So I say my underscore workspace underscore instance and underscore. Then I use the interpretation sequence, that is the Terraform.workspace. Now, what is this all about? Basically, this will display or extract the value of or the name of the workspace that we are working in. We'll see that how this gets displayed afterwards once we apply this config. Everything looks perfect as if now. We will just go ahead and just format everything. So how do we format our files based on the canonical format and style? Of course, we have to run the command terraform fmt. That's done. We run the command terraform validate. And we just want to make sure that our configuration is perfectly all right in terms of the syntactical validity or logical integration. Everything is perfectly okay. So it ensures the syntactical and logical validity or correctness, I would say that. This looks perfect as if now. There's nothing we need to add into this resource configuration. Now, let's run one or two commands which belong to the Terraform Workspace or Terraform Workspace subcommands. We're going to run them. The very first command is Terraform Workspace list. Now, what is this all about? This basically shows me a list of the workspaces being managed as of now. Now, by default, we have a default workspace. You can see that there's a default with a star in the front of that. Star means that as if now we're working in this workspace. If I say Terraform Workspace show, it will automatically show me the name of the workspace that we're in right now. Let's go ahead and create 2 new workspaces. Now this is the command that we have to run, Terraform Workspace new, followed by the name of the workspace. I named it as prod. Right, it says that created and switch to the workspace prod. Let's cross check and verify. So Terraform Workspace list. And you're going to be seeing that the prod is showing up with a asterisk in the front of that, which means that this is the current or the existing workspace we're in right now. Let's create a new workspace that's called dev. So once we just create that, we just switch to dev workspace. Now this looks like branches that we create in Git, but these are not the branches. These are the workspaces in Terraform. Now, if I just go ahead and say Terraform workspace list, you're going to see that it will show me the list of 3 workspaces with dev is as an active one. Active means that this is the workspace we're in right now. You will see that as I initiated 2 different workspaces, dev and prod, apart from the default that already exist, there's a new folder that's created on the left hand side, says terraform.tfstate.d. If you expand it, it contains 2 subfolders, and each subfolder belongs to the workspace. The first one is dev and the one is prod. Each of these subfolders will consist of the state files. We don't have the state file right now because we haven't deployed anything. Let's go ahead and let's stay in dev. We are in dev right now, and let's imagine in dev I want to go for t3.small instance type. So t3.small instance type. Fine. Now I just run the command terraform apply auto approve, and very soon we're going to see that there will be an instance launched inside the dev workspace or for the dev workspace. Let's wait and watch, and let's see that this instance gets launched. Now, once this instance gets launched, of course, we're going to do cross check and see that in the AWS Maven console, and we're going to see that whether it's been launched or not. After that, we'll switch to a different workspace, for example, prod. We'll just make some variations. For example, we'll just change this instance type, and we'll see that whether that workspace is running that instance or not, or that or I would say that workspace helps us to deploy a kind of a parallel environment for us or not. So as of now, you can see that this is being deployed successfully. And let's cross check on the AWS Maven console. Let's go to the EC2 dashboard or the instance dashboard, and let's go to the instances right now. And you will see that this instance is being launched. Fine. And this instance type is t3.small. But one thing you must have seen that this dev is showing up at the end of its name, the tag name. Because what we have done, if we just go back to the configuration, we used an interpolation sequence. What is that? Terraform.workspace. Now, this is a special variable or an interpolation sequence that extracts the value of the existing workspace you're working in and displays that. Now, why it is important? Because if you're working in different workspaces and the resources that are deployed, you want to make sure that based on the name of the workspace, you can easily distinguish between them, or you can identify, or you can segregate those resources based on the name of the workspace, right? So you can easily identify that this instance of that resource belongs to this specific workspace because it's showing its name. So you can easily distinguish or identify the instance of a resource based on this Terraform.workspace value that it displays. So you can easily identify between different resources or instances of a resource, and based on the value, you can easily distinguish between or identify that this specific instance of the resource belongs to this workspace. So it helps you to create a distinction. Now, let's go ahead And let's clear everything out. Fine. So as if now we are in the Dev workspace. Let's run the command Terraform Workspace select. Now select is for switching. So space select prod. Okay. Now this will help us to switch to the prod workspace. Now if I say Terraform Workspace show, this will show me that, okay, right now we are in the prod workspace. If I say Terraform Workspace list, I can see an asterisk on the left hand side of that one. So this showcases me that as if now I switch to the prod workspace. Now I just make small version. Instead of t3.small, I just go with the t3.micro and instance type. And now I run the command Terraform apply auto approve, and you're going to be seeing that. Okay, now one thing I had done by mistake, I didn't use the string interpolation properly. So I will just go ahead and put that one more time. So I think by mistake, I removed that. I just do it one more time, Terraform apply auto approve, and you will see that now it will just go ahead and deploy another instance for me in a different workspace that's called prod. And then after that, you will see that the instance type would be different, t3.micro. Rest of the configuration is exactly the same. It's only the instance type, a slight variation I've done. Or of course, the Terraform.workspace value will be different. Let's go back to the AWS Maven console and let's see whether the instance has been launched or not with a different instance type. And as you can see that, yes, this workspace instance for the prod is being launched with the prod at the end of that. So Terraform.workspace value is prod because this instance is deployed, or this configuration was executed under the prod workspace. And can you see the instance type? It is t3.micro. If we go back to the configuration, or I would say the Terraform working directory, you're going to be seeing that this terraform.tf state.d directory, which is created for managing the workspace states or Terraform state, dev has its own state file and prod has its own state file. So as you can see, under the same Terraform working directory, we are managing multiple yet distinct state files. This means that we get an opportunity to launch multiple yet distinct instances of a configuration without any interface between them. Thus, this allows for the parallel deployments or launching multiple environments side by side. So as you can see that this is being done. Now let's suppose if I say I want to use the default one. Now default is the one that exists already. But let's suppose I say Terraform Workspace select default. Then I can just go ahead and let's imagine I can just go to this file. I can just make it as t2.micro. Fine. And I just run the command Terraform apply auto approve. And you're going to be seeing that under the default workspace, a new instance will be deployed. And of course, the instance type is different. And based on the tag value, it will show me as underscore default at the end of that. And we can just cross check and verify. Let's go and just hit refresh. And you're going to be seeing that this instance is launched with t2.micro instance type. So that's the crux of the workspace. Now, let's go ahead and destroy everything. So one thing we need to understand that you can destroy or delete or get rid of the custom or user-defined workspaces. The default workspace cannot be deleted. So I'm just going to go ahead and first thing first, destroy this workspace. I would say not the workspace, but the instances or the resources under this workspace. That's default one. So I just go ahead and just run the command Terraform apply destroy, and of course I give my consent using auto approve in advance so that this gets destroyed. Right, so I'm destroying everything under the default workspace. I'm not deleting the default workspace. I'm destroying the resources that are managed under the default workspace. And very soon, if I just switch back, you're going to be seeing that this default workspace instance is shutting down and it will be terminated very soon. I will follow the same procedure with the other two different workspaces, I will just go ahead and destroy everything inside these workspaces. Or I would say that the infrastructure managed by them. Let's wait for this thing to finish. And after that, I would just run the command Terraform Workspace select dev and Terraform apply destroy auto approve. Right. So I switched to dev, and then I just destroyed everything inside the dev workspace. So this is getting initiated. If I just hit refresh, my dev instance will also be shutting down. As you can see that the dev instance is also shutting down. So very soon it will be terminated. Well, this is for the same procedure with the prod. And after that, I will show you that how you can just remove or delete these custom workspaces afterwards. Let's wait and watch. Let's give it a few more seconds. As you can see that this has been destroyed. Now I switch to the prod. So Terraform Workspace select prod. And then let's destroy the resources under the prod workspace. It will take some more time. In the meantime, let's hit refresh. And we will see that the prod workspace resources or the instance, I would say that it's also shutting down. And this is doomed to get destroyed eventually after a few seconds or within a few seconds. Next few seconds. Okay. So once this is being done, then of course we'll just go ahead and delete these two workspaces. Let's wait. All right. So my instance or the resources or resource under the workspace prod is also destroyed. Now let's delete both these different workspaces. Now, right now I'm in the workspace that's prod. So if I say Terraform Workspace show, right now I'm in the prod one. Now if I want to just delete this thing, I have to switch to another workspace and then delete the other one. For example, if I just run the command Terraform Workspace delete prod, it will not allow me because I'm in the prod right now. So let's do one thing. Let's switch to default, and from there I will delete both the workspaces. So you can't stay in an active workspace and then try to delete the same. So you have to be in a different workspace to remove the other one. So I switch to the default and I delete the prod first. That's been done. And then I delete the dev next. And that is also done. If I say Terraform Workspace list, the default one is the only one which is being left out. There's nothing else which shows up. This means that I've wiped out both the workspaces that were created at the time of launching two separate environments, one for the prod, other one for the dev. And as you can see that I've destroyed all the resources for all the three different workspaces, including default one, the prod, and the dev. So all the resources are being wiped out. So that's all about the workspaces. To summarize everything, workspaces is a mechanism that allows you to maintain multiple yet distinct state files all within the same Terraform working directory, which means that you have the window or the opportunity to manage or deploy multiple instances of the same configuration under the same Terraform project, by ensuring that you can go for parallel deployments without any interface between them. And also this allows you to maintain multiple distinct environments. These different distinct environments will run under the same working directory. They will have their own state files, individual state files. There could be slight variations between them. They will have the same configuration file. As you can see, in our case, the main.tf file was shared among all the workspaces. So all the workspaces will share the same configuration. But yes, as you switch between them, you can change certain resource attributes. For example, in our case, we change the instance type. So most of the resource attribute values or most of the configuration would remain the same. But of course, when you're running in different environments or when you're managing different environments, there will be slight variations between the resources configuration. So that's all about the workspaces. I hope this was informative. Thank you so very much.